Welcome to Banker Zone. Here we'll discuss the international economic organizations, okay, World Bank, IMF, etc. So these are the some important economic organization we'll be discussing in this session. See, an international economic organization is one that is created by the group of a country to promote the economic development and the global trade. So what is the purpose of the creating global economic organization? The economic organization simply it is created by the group of the country. So different country come together to form a organization, and that the main objective is the economic development of that group of country and the global increase the trade between the country. Okay, so what is economic organization? Simply it is the group of nation come together to form the organization that will promote the economic development and the global trade. Now see, the international economic organization are not limited to the Bretton Woods institution. What do you mean by it? See, what are the Bretton Woods institution? See, generally World Bank and IMF, these are called as the Bretton Woods institution. Okay, so remember what are the Bretton Woods institution? So World Bank and the IMF, these are the one of the important institution in the world. So that's why these are called as the Bretton Woods institution. Now what do you mean by Bretton Woods? Basically, see, the Bretton Woods is the place. It is the place in the USA. Okay, at that place in during the meeting, the idea of establishing the World Bank and the IMF conceived. Okay, and that's why they are called as the Bretton Woods institution. Okay, so that will be discussing will be further in the next sessions. Okay, so here understand the Bretton Woods institution are simply World Bank and the IMF. These are generally called as the Bretton Woods institutions. Now see, there are three important international economic organization. Okay, for example, we are having World Trade Organization, WTO, then IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. These are three important international organization. Now see, one by one we will be discussing here IMF and World Bank. So let's start with the IMF. IMF stands for International Monetary Fund. Okay, now see, IMF have 190 member nations. So how many member nations here? 190 members are there. IMF seeks to ensure long-term growth and the prosperity, financial stability and monetary cooperation. Okay, so what is the aim of IMF? Long-term growth, prosperity among the nations, then financial stability globally and monetary cooperation among the nations. Okay, so this is the prima facie objective of the IMF. Now see, the IMF was formed in July 1944. Okay, when it is formed in 1944, remember the year of establishment, when delegates from 45 countries met in the Bretton Woods, New York in the USA. So I have already told you why IMF is called as the Bretton Woods institution, because the different delegates from different 45 countries all over the world, they were having meeting at the place called Bretton Woods. They were having meeting at the place called Bretton Woods in the USA. So that's why the idea of IMF establishment was came from there, and that's why IMF is called as the Bretton Woods institution. So also remember, India become the member of the IMF in very soon after the establishment in December 27, 1945. Okay, 27 December 1945. So what is IMF? It is the International Monetary Fund. It is having 190 members. Okay, it is established in the Bretton Woods in the USA. That's why called as the Bretton Woods institution. Apart from that, it is India is also member of the IMF. Okay, now see here. See, you know what is why IMF is now in the news? Recently, the Pakistan went to IMF, okay, for asking some loan or the grant. Okay, you know Pakistan is facing lot of financial crisis. So Pakistan went to IMF, okay, asking some grant and the loan. Okay, so that is the main objective of the IMF, to provide the financial stability globally, monetary cooperation. Okay, so that will be discussing here. See, what are the functions of the IMF? What functions IMF do? See, first one by one. Surveillance over members' economic policy. So IMF is having around 190 members, right? So whatever that 190 nation, they are having their economic policy, the surveillance, the job of surveillance is done by the IMF. IMF basically observe them, okay, monitors them. IMF member are required to pursue the economic policy that are consistent with the IMF's goal. So IMF member should have their own policy that should be in line with the goal of the IMF. IMF supervises the nation's compliance and review the economic situation on a regular basis. Okay, so this is which is the first function of IMF, surveillance, or we can say economic supervising the member nations policy. Next, financing the temporary balance of payment need. See, best example is Pakistan. Now Pakistan is needing some help, so IMF will going to help them, right? So the financing temporary balance of payment need is one of the function by the IMF. During the temporary balance of payment crisis, the IMF give loan to its members. Apart from that, the major function is combating poverty in the low income country. How IMF combats it? IMF make the concessional loan to the poor country in order to support their effort to reduce the poverty. So IMF give loan to the poor country so that they can fight the poverty. IMF raise external finance and donor support also for such a nation and participate in two international debt relief initiative. Okay, so there are two international debt relief initiative in which IMF participate. First is the heavy indebted poor countries HIPC initiative, and second, multilateral debt relief initiative. Okay, heavily indebted poor country initiative and the multilateral debt relief initiative. Okay, so basically the function is to combat the poverty and the help to the low income country. Okay, for that IMF may sanction them some loan at a less rate of interest. Okay, also there is a two international debt relief activity. Okay, HIPC and MDRI. In that also the IMF participate so that IMF can help to country combat the poverty. Now next function is mobilizing the external financing. What do you mean by that? See, IMF policy assessment and the recommendation provide a crucial signal to investor and a financial market about the country's economic prospects. So that means basically mobilizing external financing. So IMF generally what do? IMF generally publishes different reports. Okay, and in that report they will analyze the situation of, for example, Pakistan. Okay, now Pakistan situation is very not that much of good. So how the investor will go and invest in the Pakistan? Okay, if IMF publishes some report about India that a stable government is there, good GDP growth is there, and financial crisis is less chance of financial crisis, so investor will come and invest in the India. So basically mobilizing external financing indirectly or directly, you can say IMF helps. Okay, these are four functions. Now see next function, strengthening the IMF. Okay, strengthening the international monetary system. This is one of the important function. So for that IMF act as a forum to consult and collaborate on the monetary and the fiscal issue. IMF collaborate with the other organization to develop the international standards. So basically IMF can collaborate with other organizations also so that they can evaluate themselves. Apart from that, the increasing the global supply of the international reserve. Okay, see, to ensure the liquidity, IMF has established the reserve asset. This is also called as the SDR, called as the special drawing right. This is established in 1969. Okay, so remember, you have to remember one thing. Which currency, there will be a question in your exam, which currency the IMF uses? Okay, so answer will be SDR. That is called as the special drawing right. So this is the, so you may think, what is this currency? So that will be discussed here. Okay, don't worry. So for instance, you remember only the thing that SDR we will be discussing in detail. Okay, so don't worry. So here IMF is having their currency called as the SDR. Okay, it is not actually currency, it is the basket of currency. Okay, that we will be discussing. It is started in 1969. Okay, why? See, IMF should need money, na? They are going to help giving loans, so they need some money, so they are keeping the money as a reserve asset, okay, in the form of SDR. Okay, SDR is basically the basket of a currency. So it is comprised of the 5 currency that we will be discussing. Okay, now see, SDR is nothing but the hard currency. Okay, these are the hard currency asset that can be converted into the convertible currency, means so these are very strong currency basically, you can say. Okay, see, only top 5 currency are included in the SDR, top 5. Okay, so that's why we can say it is very hard currency that can easily convert into other currency. Then building capacity through technical assistance and the training. So IMF offer technical support and the training to its member nation. Next, dissemination of the information and the research. So see, if IMF conduct any economic analysis of its member nation, or the even for the even some compiles some statistics of the about its nation or its member, and produces some estimates. Generally IMF do the survey, right, monitoring, observing. Okay, so basically they will prepare some documents based on the its members situation. Okay, and that documents they will disseminate as a data through economic report or internet or anything, or for their from their website. So whatever the reports, dissemination of the information and the research means whatever the research and the information or data analysis they gathered by observing their members, they will give that information, they will publish that information, okay, by the way of reports or the internet or using any media. Okay, so dissemination of the information and the research. So these are some functions. Now see, India's economic relationship with the IMF. So how we are having relationship with the IMF. So here I will again tell you in a broader sense what are the function of IMF. So see here, IMF is having surveillance over the members' economic policy, then financing temporary balance of payment, combating the poverty in the low income country, mobilizing the external finance, strengthening the international monetary system, then increasing global supply of the international reserve, building capacity through technical assistance and training, dissemination of the information and the research. Okay, so now here we will discuss the India's economic relationship with the IMF. So how we are having relationship with the IMF? See, India is the founding member of IMF, so we are having a relationship with since beginning. Finance Minister of India or any country will be ex officio governor on the board of governor of the IMF. That means what? See, whoever is the finance minister of India, that will be automatically the governor. That will be automatically the governor on what? On board of governor. There is no board of that. There is board of governor of IMF. Okay, IMF is run by the board of a governor. Okay, and who is the finance minister of their member will automatically ex officio governor on the board of governor of the IMF. Okay, in 1970, India was one of the 5 countries with the highest IMF quota. As a result, India was given a permanent seat in the executive board of a director. Okay, so see, IMF is having some quota. Means what? IMF collect some fund from its members. IMF collect some funds from its members. Okay, so in 1970, India was such a member. Okay, it was contributing top 5 country. It was among the top 5 country who contribute to IMF fund. Okay, and that's why India was given the permanent seat as in the board of executive board of director. Okay, so remember, now India is having permanent seat in the IMF executive board of a director. Okay, during 70-80, India was one of the IMF's major debtor. So you know, during 70 to 80 there was a slowdown in the economy, and to combat that, India has taken a grant loan from the IMFs. So India is one of the major loan taker called as debtor of the IMF. During 2008 global crisis also, India got around 4.5 billion. Okay, 4.5 billion US dollar from the IMF's SDR, that is special drawing right, to combat the slowdown. So why there was slowdown in 2008? Due to the global crisis called as the Lehman Brothers crisis. Okay, and in 2008 India was also facing slowdown in the economy, recession. So we got around 4.5 billion US dollar from the IMF, and globally IMF has distributed around 250 billion dollar. Out of that we got 4.5. So we can say 4.5 means around say 2%. We can easily conclude. Now India's current IMF quota is SDR of 13114 million. So what that much of quota we are having? Okay, placing the sixth largest among the top 10 quota holding nations. So whatever the quota that IMF is having, what is the quota means? Basically how much the nation has contributed. So India is the sixth largest nation to contribute in the IMF, and India is having 2.76% stake right now. Okay, so 2.67% stake we contribute in the IMF. In that return we get 2.63% voting share. Okay, and the 2.63% share voting share is nothing but the 1,32,603 votes we are having in the IMF. Okay, so that figure, if you want, you can remember. Okay, so that two figure at least you remember. We are the sixth quota holder in the IMF. We are having around 2.76% stake in the IMF, and we are having 2.63% voting rights in the IMF. Okay, so that three figure at least you should remember for exam point of view. Okay, now see, what do you mean by SDR? We will be discuss in detail what is the SDR. SDR is a special drawing rights. Okay, SDR was created as an international reserve asset. Okay, and in the context of the Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system. Okay, what do you mean by it? See, first understand, SDR stands for special drawing right. Okay, and these are the reserve asset. Okay, what is it? These are the asset. Okay, this is the asset, but these are reserved for some any emergency or giving loan. Now see, these are international reserve asset in context with the Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system. So what is the Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system? So Bretton Woods is basically a place. Okay, and Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system is nothing but it is a framework to create a fixed currency exchange rate. Means what? See, previously there was fixed currency exchange rate. There was no that much volatility among the price of the different currency. For example, they will simply say 1 gram of the gold is equal to $1. Okay, like that there was a fixed currency exchange. Okay, so Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate was somehow the part of the fixed exchange rate system. Okay, now see, but the collapse of the Bretton Woods system happened in 1973. Okay, so basically Bretton Woods fixed exchange rate system is the system rate is a system of converting one currency to other. Okay, by the way of fixed rate. Got it? It is the mechanism to convert one currency to other currency by the way of fixed rate. But that system, Bretton Woods system, collapsed in 1973. Why? Because in 1971, the US president called Richard Nixon announced that temporarily they are suspending the dollar convertibility into the gold. Got it? So in 1971, the British president called as Richard Nixon announced that we are suspending conversion of a US dollar to the gold. Temporarily they have suspended. Okay, this is one of the important reason that the IMF need some international reserve in the form of a different currency like SDR. See, Richard Nixon announced the suspension of a dollar cannot be converted into the gold. So what will be the currency? What to do with the gold? Okay, so that was a lot of problem globally. So to combat that problem, SDR was very much needed. Okay, now see, the shift of a major currency to floating rate exchange lessened the reliance on the SDR as a global reserve asset. So many countries now shifting to the floating rate mechanism. Right, you know, the daily dollar to India rate, dollar to our Indian rupee, where is right. So that is basically due to the floating rate mechanism. It is having lot of factors. So now almost every country is switching to the floating rate mechanism. So there is a global need to have a global reserve asset, and that's how the SDR was evolved. SDR allocation play a role in providing liquidity, then supplementing member countries' official reserve amid the global financial crisis. So SDR allocation play a very important role. So if any country need, so for example Pakistan needs some help, so Pakistan approaches to IMF. Okay, IMF is having the balance in the form of SDR. So what is SDR? SDR is the basket of a currency. Okay, that we will be discussing in the next session, next slide. So here, so IMF will give some SDR to Pakistan. Okay, So Pakistan will convert that SDR to their Pakistani rupee, and that they can utilize, or they can use that SDR. Okay, they can convert in dollar and use that foreign currency for to support the import. Okay, now see SDR. Here in this session we will see in detail what is SDR. The SDR serves as the unit account of the IMF. So IMF don't have any unit like 1 rupee, $2, like they are having SDR. Okay, they are having their currency called SDR. Now see, SDR is neither currency nor a claim on the IMF. Okay, for example, you are having one SDR. That means you cannot have claim that IMF should give you one SDR. Okay, it is not like a legal tender. Remember, it is neither currency. It is not a claim on the IMF as a legal tender. Now, SDR can be exchanged for IMF member country. What SDR can be exchanged? For example, few SDR can be given to the Pakistan, like that. SDR was initially defined as the equivalent to 0.888671. That means equivalent, you can say simply 0.8 gram of the gold. Okay, see, initially 1 SDR was meaning that 1 SDR is equal to 1 gram of the gold. Fine gold means pure gold, fine, okay, without any mixture. Fine means pure gold. So 1 SDR is equal to 1 gram of the gold. Okay, initially it was they have decided. Okay, and which was also equivalent to $1. So 1 gram of the gold is equal to $1 is equal to 1 SDR. This was previously they have decided. But what happened in 1971? We learned in the previous slide. In 1971, the US president announced that we are suspending dollar convertibility to the gold. So they have stopped a conversion of dollar to gold. So that's why the need of the IMF has also changed. They are considering that 1 SDR should be equal to 1 gram. They have changed the definition. Okay, now see how. So currency included in the SDR basket. So see here, after the collapse of the Bretton Woods system, SDR was redefined as a basket of a currency. So previously it was, remember, previously it was 1 SDR is equal to 1 gram of the gold is equal to $1. But the but USA president announced 1 gram. We are not allowed to convert the dollar to gold. We are temporarily suspending this procedure. Again, the Bretton Woods system has been collapsed because it was mainly based on the fixed rate mechanism. Okay, that collapsed. SDR now redefined as a basket of currency, and then onwards SDR is defined as the basket of currency, and it is now currently going on. So the currency included in the SDR basket means simply group. It is having like a basket. You carry the basket for purchasing something in the market, like that. Okay, so SDR basket have to meet 2 criteria. If any currency be a part of a SDR basket, it should have 2 criteria. First, export criteria, and second, freely usable criteria. What is export criteria of the currency? The IMF member nation and is one of the top 5 world exporter. Okay, for example, if the Chinese yuan, or you can say renminbi, so Chinese yuan currency want to be included in the basket of the SDR, then it's necessary that the total export should be top 5 among the global. Okay, next, freely usable criteria is means what? The currency which we want to include in the basket, that should be widely usable to make the payment for the international transactions. Okay, so now see, what are the currency currently in the basket? You can see there is a dollar, there is a euro, there is a Chinese yuan, there is a Japanese yen, and there is a pound sterling. Okay, so these 5 currency are there currently in the SDR basket. Okay, that you have to remember. Now see, SDR basket is reviewed every 5 years. So every 5 years they change the basket of currency, and recently they have added the Chinese Chinese renminbi, or we can say Chinese yuan. Okay, the value of SDR is determined daily basis on a market exchange rate. During the last review concluded in November 2015, Chinese renminbi is also called as Chinese yuan. Okay, that is included in the SDR basket. US dollar, euro, Chinese yuan, then Japanese yen, and the pound sterling. These are the currency currently in the basket that you have to remember. Okay, now see here. Here is a chart that you will get a better clarity how SDR work. See, here I have told you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 currency which makes the SDR, which are the part of SDR. Now see currency weight, how much weight that currency is having. Okay, so US dollar. So suppose one SDR means 100. Suppose one SDR is equal to 100%, then US dollar contribute 43%. Okay, euro contribute 29.3%, Chinese yuan is having 12.28%, Japanese yen is this, pound sterling is. So this is nothing but the weight. This is also called as the weight. So this is not important to you. You don't need to remember the figures, but you should remember that first column, that you have to remember. Okay, that is important. So I repeat, that column only you have to remember. Okay, remember. Okay, that figure you don't need to remember, but you should understand which currency is having highest weight in the SDR. So it is the US dollar. Which currency is having lowest weight in the SDR? It is the pound. Okay, so it is for the weight. Now here you can see fixed number of units of currency. So basically, if you want, see, these are the fixed number of units of currency. So for US dollar it is 0.5. So it is up to 5 decimal they have quoted. Okay, you just check it, fixed number of units. Okay, so basically pound sterling is 0.08, 0.080870 like that. Okay, so this is chart for additional information. For your exam point of view, you remember only currency in SDR basket. These are the currency name you have to remember, and highest weight to the US dollar, and lowest weight in the to the pound sterling. Okay, now simply see World Bank. So what is the World Bank that we'll be discussing? See, basically World Bank is the development bank, right? See here the World Bank. See, the World Bank is the largest development bank. So in name itself it indicates World Bank. So you can see it is the it is the largest in the world. Okay, World Bank. So remember, it is the development bank. Now see here, the headquarter of the World Bank is at the Washington DC. Okay, where is headquarter? Washington DC. World Bank is emerged from the Bretton Woods Conference. So what is a Bretton Woods Conference? So basically, officially it is also called as the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference. So Bretton Woods Conference is nothing but the United Nations Monetary and the Financial Conference, which was held in 1944 in the place called as the Bretton Woods. So Bretton Woods is the place in the USA, New York. Okay, Bretton Woods, and at that place there was a conference, and then idea of having World Bank is emerged. Okay, so why? After, see, in 1944-45 there was a World War II. Okay, and to help globally, to make the trade and globally more, okay, to stabilize the global economy, basically they have idea of a World Bank. Okay, now the bank offer low interest loan to its member nation and grant to the poorest country. The only government project supported by the or the project supported by the government are funded by the bank. Okay, so see, the World Bank does not support any private projects. They support the project which are by the government, or which can be recognized by the government. The World Bank focus on the human development, agriculture and the rural development, poverty elevation, then environmental protection and infrastructure and the governance. See, World Bank plus NABARD, they are working for the development in the rural infrastructure. So different projects or different scheme launched by, say, central government or the state government in association with the NABARD and the World Bank. So in this way, World Bank gives some loan at a lower interest to implement the rural infrastructure. See, World Bank is the group. World Bank is not only one organization. Remember, World Bank is not a one organization. World Bank is a group. It is the group having 5 organizations. Remember, it is the group of the 5 organizations. World Bank is not a single. It is the group of 5. Okay. Now, the 5 international institutions having headquarters in the Washington DC, that is called as the World Bank Group. Now, World Bank Group is owned by its member. Who is the owner of the World Bank then? The member of the World Bank Group are the owner of the World Bank. that member contribute to its share capital and have voting right, which will be in proportion to their shareholding pattern. Okay. Now, World Bank also raises fund from the IMF, from the international credit market. So World Bank, if World Bank need, they also raise fund from the international credit market. Okay. So what is the World Bank? Here we got World Bank is the largest bank, development bank. It is having headquarters in the Washington DC. Okay. And the idea of having World Bank was basically conceived in the Bretton Woods conference. Okay. So World Bank is also called as the Bretton Woods institution. We have already discussed the Bretton Woods institution. Okay. And it is owned by its member nations. Okay. So see World Bank. So World Bank is the largest development bank, right? And World Bank is the group of the company having 5 subgroups or 5 agency. What are the World Bank group members? See, World Bank is consist of International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, called as the IDRB, having 189 member. Second, International Development Association, IDA, having 174 member. Third, International Finance Corporation, IFC, having 186 member. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Scheme, MIGA, having 182 members. International Center for Settlement of the Investment Dispute, ICSID, having 158 members. Okay. So I repeat, you have to remember the 5 names of the World Bank companies. Okay. World Bank comprise of the IDRB, IDA, IFC, MIGA and ICSD, having member strength 189, 174, 186, 182 and 158 respectively. That you have to remember. Okay. Now, apart from that, you have to also remember that India is one of the founder member of what? IBRD, IDA and IDFC. So India is a founding member of this and this. So first 3 is founded by India, you can say. Oh, okay. So India is one of the founder member of that 3. Okay. Now, except ICSID, India is a member of 4 of the 5 world group. So remember here, see here, you have to remember India is not a member of Okay. So for ICSID, India is not a member, remember. So India is not among that 158 nations who are the member of ICSID. Okay, remember, except that India is member of all. Okay, India is member of all, and in that all, India is the founding member of that 3. Okay. So I repeat, that is important. See, for that first 3, India is the founding member. Okay. Now first that 4, India is a only member, and for this India is not a member. Okay. So that things you have to remember. Okay. I repeat, for that first 3, India is the founding member. For all, India is a member, and for this, India is not a member. Okay. So that things are important for exam point of view, that you have to remember. Okay. So first thing you remember, there are 5 agency. You should remember their strength also. Sequence you remember. Okay. Now, International Bank for the Reconstruction and the Development, first called as the IDRB, that we'll discuss. See, IDRB is the International Development Cooperative with having 189 members. Okay, it is a part of the World Bank. It serves as the World Bank group's mission as the World Bank's biggest development bank. Okay, providing the loan guarantee, risk management solutions and the consulting services to the middle income and credit worthy low income nation. So the first group of the World Bank is IDRB. Okay, it is having 189 members, and it work on basically what is the mission of the World Bank group. Okay, that mission is basically is the aim of the IDRB. Okay, and they support to the middle and the low income nations. Second is IDA. What IDA wing do? This wing, IDA, established in 1960. Okay, and to support the world's poorest country. Okay, this is the responsible for delivering long-term interest-free loan around 80 of the world's poorest country. So what is the contribution of IDA? IDA is very important for India also. Okay, they are giving interest-free loans. Okay, they are established in it is established in 1960. They are giving loan to the poor country. IDA repayment also split over long period, called they are having repayment tenure 25 to 40 year, or they can give to start even for the repayment they will give a moratorium or the grace period 5 to 10 year. Okay, grace period, that means 25 to 40 years they are having repayment period for their countries. They can extend it by 5 to 10 years, no problem, because their aim is to help the poor country, right? So idea also make a grant to the nation to make them debt, to clear their debt difficulty. Okay, so that too we have basically discussed here, IDRB and IDA. So India is a member, founding member of this also and this also. Okay, now next wing of the World Bank is IFC. Okay, so what is the International Finance Corporation, IFC? Basically it is having primary goal of a World Bank group institution, for example improving the quality of life, developing the members nation. So development of the member plus improve the quality of life. Okay, now see, IFC encourage the private sector investment in the developing country. So what is a developing country? The country like India, we are not developed, we are progressing our development, right? So we are developing country. So country like USA, they are developed country, so as a means of elevating poverty, improving the people's life. So what IFC work mainly to elevate the poverty and to improve the people's life, quality of life. India is one of the IFC's founding member, and remember we are also getting a lot of help from the IFC. Okay, so IFC is the single largest country's exposure is India. That's why I have told we are getting lot of credit from the IFC. Okay, and maximum that loan or the finance given by IFC is to India. Okay, what is the aim of IFC? To improve the quality of life, to minimize the poverty. Okay, now next wing is a Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA. So MIGA encourages FDI. Okay, this wing is established mainly for increasing the FDI. Where they will increase FDI? Obviously in the developing country like India. We are on the we are getting developed, right? So that we are developing the country. And they also advise to the governments which run that developing country how to attract the investment. Okay, this is the work basically done by the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. Name itself, it is I for investment, so you can easily relate with the FDI. Okay, easy. Okay, now see, International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute, called as the ICSID. Okay, this is founded in 1966. This is the latest wing of, say, we can say, of a World Bank to mediate and resolve the legal dispute between the international investment and the states. That means international investors and any country is having some dispute, that can be there will be a platform called as the ICSID of a World Bank. They can help to resolve the issue. So remember, India is not a member of this. Okay, India is not a member of ICSID. Okay, now see, India and the World Bank. So how we are having the World Bank relation with the World Bank? So see, India is the founder member of IBRD, IDA and IFC. Except ICSID, India is a member of 4 organizations. Okay, including C here MIGA. So India is member of these 3 founding plus MIGA. Okay, and India is not a member of, say, ICSID. India is received a World Bank fund mostly through IBRD and IDA, that first 2, for development, right? World Bank has supported the project of a government of India and state government also. World Bank provide low cost, consistent finance with extended maturity period to the India. India has borrowed from the World Bank through IBRD and IDA. A variety of development initiative has been supported by the World Bank, say poverty reduction, infrastructure improvement, rural development and the human resource development. The IDA funds are one of the most advantageous foreign loan for the government of India, and they are mostly employed in the project for achieving the SDG, Sustainable Development. Okay, now see here the difference between IMF. Okay, see the difference between the IMF and the difference between the World Bank. So see, IMF is only one institution, single institution, whereas it is the group of 5 institutions. Okay, it oversees the international monetary system. It seeks to promote the economic development. So they are monitoring basically. Okay, they will supervise, and here they will promote, they will support the development of what? Poor country. and they are helping to their member states. Okay, now it promote exchange rate and the monetary stability in the member country, and World Bank assist their developing country like India through the long term financing projects. Then balance of payment shortage, if they are like Pakistan needs, right, so such a package will be provided for short term to medium term by the IMF. And World Bank encourage the private enterprises by allowing the attractive investment. Okay, so International Finance Corporation, IFC, okay, that help private enterprises. It has insurance and abbreviation wing called MIGA and ICSID. Okay, so basically the MIGA promote the investment and ICSID resolve the disputes. Okay, IMF is having their SDR. Okay, IMF is having their own currency SDR. Okay, and it draw its financial resources principally from quota subscription. Okay, so how the money IMF get? IMF gets money from its members. Okay, by the way of quota. But here IBRD and IFC acquire most of their financial resources by borrowing from the international bond market. So how they get money? World Bank get money, they borrow from the international bond market. Okay, and also IDA gets some donations also. Okay, now World Trade Organization. So we have discussed till now IMF, we have discussed World Bank, we have discussed. Now we will discuss WTO. WTO stands for World Trade Organization. So see, the general agreement on tariff and trade, the general agreement on tariff and trade called as the GATT, GATT. This was signed by 23 nations in 1947 in the Geneva. Okay, and India was one of the founding member of the GATT. Okay, so GATT, remember full form. GATT is important, right? It stands for General Agreement on Tariff and Taxes. This was signed in 1947, and India has also signed that in Geneva. Okay, now see, in 1947 it is signed in Geneva, and India was one of the founding member of GATT. Okay, so that time India was ruled by the Britishers, so Britishers participate, so indirectly we participate. Now from 1948 to 1994, GATT, GATT set the rules for the international trade. Okay, this was one of the important organization, we can say. It is simply agreement which was setting the standard for the international trades. Now see what happened on the, in 1st January 1995, the World Trade Organization was formed. Okay, was formed. So important, see, in 1995 WTO was formed, that you have to remember. Apart from that, as of June 2022, WTO is having 164 members. So what is member strength of WTO? 164. Geneva is the headquarter for the WTO. Okay, and where the originated, the GATT was originated in Geneva. See, GATT, after that GATT, WTO formed. So who is the successor of GATT? WTO. Who is the president of the WTO? GATT. Okay, that can be question. Now see, WTO's top decision making body. Who makes the decision in WTO? The Ministerial Conference of the Commerce Ministers of the members. Okay, and they meet once 2 years. So every 2 years there will be a meeting. Okay, who will be the decision makers in the WTO? Who are the members? Okay, member countries commerce minister will be participating. Okay, remember that. Now see, WTO having the WTO's responsibility are outlined in Article 3 of WTO agreement. So Article 3 of the WTO agreement have some responsibility that WTO has to follow. India is a member of WTO since its foundation 1995, like a GATT. India is a member of the WTO's procedure called as the GATT also. India emerged as the most outspoken proponent for the developing the world at the 2000 World Trade Organization session in Doha. So you remember the World Trade Organization has the latest session in 2001 Doha. Okay, and in that India was one of the important outspoken proponent. Now apart from that, there are some functions which WTO do. See, there are majorly, broadly we can say there are 6 functions which WTO perform. First is administering the WTO trade agreement. So what are the agreement between their member countries? called as WTO trade agreement. They will administer it, provide forum for the trade negotiation, handling of a trade dispute if any, monitoring the nation trade policy, technical assistance and training if required they can provide, and cooperation with other international organizations. So these are the 6 functions. You just go through it. Okay. Now WTO, the 12th ministerial conference. WTO members reach historic agreement on response to the fishing subsidiary, food insecurity and COVID-19 vaccination during WTO's 12th ministerial meeting held in Geneva, June 2022. So see, latestly they are having meeting in the Geneva, headquarter Geneva, right? So they have meeting in Geneva. They were having lot of there were a lot of dispute between its member on fishing subsidiary, then food insecurity and COVID-19 vaccination. So on that they basically concluded. According to the agreement, what has decided, what we got and what we lose in that agreement. See, in that agreement, India has it is agreement done that it is accepted that India has a right to give subsidy to its fishermen. See, WTO want that India should not give any subsidy to their farmers or fishermen. Okay, they are asking increase the price, don't give subsidy. But we strongly there put that we have a right to give subsidy, we will provide subsidy. Okay, irrespective. See, WTO is for trade, right? So they want don't give subsidy, let compete in the global market. But we are the Indian people, we are developing country, we should give subsidy to different fishermen and farmers also, right? So we put our strong view, and it is obviously they have also agreed that we will continue our giving subsidy to the fishermen or even for the agriculture sector. In exchange, what we have to do? In exchange, India has agreed 1.5 year, for next 1.5 year extension to the custom tariff on moratorium for electronic transmission, say e-commerce trade. So whatever the relaxation we are giving for the trade in the especially for e-commerce or called as the electronic products or electronic transmission, basically for them we have to give some relaxation in the form of custom tariff. Okay, so this is agreed. Now sovereign rights, called as the EEZ, exclusive economic zone, have been firmly established in this ministerial conference, which is one of the big achievement for the India. Okay. Now see, you one of the important, you have to remember the fisherman subsidiary, which we can now continue. Now see the regional economic cooperation. Okay, there are different organizations also which are working, that we will take a short overview of it. Okay, European Union. See, European Union, what is European Union? It is established in 1993 by signing the Maastricht Treaty. Okay, it is a collection of 28 nations that work together for the economic and the political bloc. The European Union was awarded the Nobel Prize also in 2012. Okay, why? For the work in the cause of peace, reconciliation, democracy and human right in the Europe. Okay, so this is all about European Union. Now what is Eurozone? Eurozone was founded in 1999. It is the union comprised of the 19 of a 28 European Union member. So see, here they are having 28 members in the European Union. Out of the 28, 19 members came together and they formed the Eurozone. Okay, so in that Eurozone there will be only one currency called as the Euro. Euro will be only one currency, and that will be only one legal tender. Okay, now European Central Bank will be functioning as the Eurozone's central bank, and which will be the in charge of the monetary policy also. Okay, and the having headquarter in the Frankfurt, Germany. What is SAARC? SARC. SAARC stands for South Asian Association of a Regional Cooperation. SAARC. It is a regional group for the trading. It is having headquarters in the Kathmandu, Nepal. It is founded in 1985. It is having 8 members: India, Maldives, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal and Afghanistan. South Asian Free Trade Agreement (SFTA) was established on January 1st, 2006 to encourage the free trade among its member. Okay, so here you should remember the strength. There are 20th European Unions. They also got Nobel Prize in 2012. Eurozone is established in 1999 of 19 members of European Union. They are having single currency called Euro as legal tender, run by the European Central Bank. SAARC is the South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. India is a member of SAARC, headquartered in the Nepal, Kathmandu. Now What is ASEAN? ASEAN stands for Association of a Southeast Asian Nation. Okay, it is the regional trade bloc again, having headquarters in the Jakarta, Indonesia. ASEAN now included in the member having 10 members. ASEAN is now having 10 members. Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Colombia and the Myanmar. Okay, 39th Asian Summit was held in the Brunei in October 2021. OPEC stands for Organization of a Petroleum Export Country. OPEC, you remember the full form, important for your exam point of view. It is the intergovernment organization. Okay, 13 different oil exporting country are the member of the OPEC. Name itself, it is a petroleum exporting country. Now see, it was founded in the Baghdad, Iraq in September 1960. The 5 country, that is Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and the Venezuela was the founding member, having headquarters in the Vienna. Remember, having headquarters in the Vienna. Remember, OPEC founded in the Baghdad, Iraq, but having headquarters in the now Vienna. Headquarters is now Vienna. Remember, OPEC member include Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Libya, the United States of Arab Emirates, then Algeria, Nigeria, Ecuador, Gabon, Angola, then Equatorial Guinea and the Congo. So these are the member of OPEC. You don't need to remember the list, but you remember the headquarter. You can remember the founding members if you want. Then the Qatar has terminated its membership since January. So that is important thing. Now Qatar is not a member of the OPEC, that you have to remember. Apart from that, remember Vienna is headquarters of OPEC. What is G7? G7 is a group basically established in 1974. It is having Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK and the US. So these are basically 7 groups, right? So G7 main having goal to debate and occasionally act in concert to help resolve the global challenges with a particular emphasis on the economic difficulty. So basically help each other in the trade. G20 is a group of members nations formed in 1999 to bring the government and to deploy to bring government from developed and developing country together to address the issue of concerning of the economy and the financial stability. So G20 consists of developed as well as the developing country. Now see, G20 membership is made up of the world's greatest advanced and the emerging nations. So G20 is now very important because they are having world's greatest advanced or emerging nation basically. Okay. So see here, I repeat, G20 is important because they are having the world's advanced or the emerging nation as their member. See, G20 is having 2/3 of the, if you talk about the G20 nation totally 2/3 of the population of the world, 85% GDP of the world by the G20 nation, and more than 75% of the trade of globally are the part of the G20 nation. So G20 is having more importance. Okay, these are the important emerging nation of the world. Okay, these are the members. You just go through it. I will name some important nations like Canada, Brazil, China, Australia. India is member, Russia, Mexico, USA, European Union. So these are the member, UK, Japan, Italy. So these are the member of the G20. You can read it. Okay, don't need to remember. Okay, just remember the contribution of a G20 is 2/3 of the population, 85% of the GDP and 75% of the trade. Now OECD stands for here the Organization for Economic Cooperation and the Development. It is the intergovernmental economic organization having 36 members. It is founded in 1961. It is having headquarters in the Paris. Okay, that is important. You remember the headquarters. 36 member. Now NAFTA is the North American Free Trade Agreement. NAFTA. Okay, it is having only country called as the Canada, USA, and the Mexico. Okay, remember. NAFTA is having only 3. See, North American, so you can easily remember Canada, USA and the Mexico. Okay, so it is established in 1994. In terms of GDP, NAFTA is one of the world's largest trading bloc. So you know Canada, USA and Mexico contributes one of the important trading. They are important trading partners. So obviously they will contribute in terms of GDP also. What is APEC? APEC is the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. It is a regional economic forum basically founded in 1989. Okay. For the Asia Pacific region to connect the economies. There are 21 members basically in the APEC. to increase the regional prosperity by fostering the balanced, inclusive, sustainable, and create and secure growth. Okay, these are main some objective. Basically, objective of every organization is almost same. Okay, to sustain, to establish the financial stability and ensure the growth. Now, what is the Mercosur? So, Mercosur is the Latin American trade bloc. Means it is group of basically some country. 5 countries are there: Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Okay, it is a Latin American. Okay, NATO is North American. 1995 it is established for having why it is established as a common space that will provide a business investment possibility via competitive integration of the national economy into world's market. So this is just about you have to remember. So there may be a question that Mercosur is nothing but it is a Latin American trade bloc. It is having 5 members. Now what is IORAC? IORARC is the Indian Ocean Rim Association of the Regional Cooperation. So full form you need to remember. Founded in 1997, 22 members are there. Then after that they are having 9 conservation partners. It is intergovernmental organization focusing and fostering the regional cooperation, sustainable development in the Indian Ocean area. So these are the organization which you can recall. Now RECP stands for here the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. It is a free trade agreement, FTA, called among the 10 nation members. Okay, for example, you can just read the name here. Okay, if you want. Then they are having FTA partners. These are their FTA partners. So RECP was basically built to strengthen the economic linkages, to enhance the trade and investment activity, to minimize the gap among the developed or development of the country. So RECP full form you can remember. Okay, you don't need to remember much more about RECP. It is the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Okay, so it is basically what? It is the agreement called as the FTA among 10 Asian members. It is having 10 Asian members and they are having 5 free trade agreement partners, FTA partners. Okay, the simply that thing you can remember. Now what is BIMSTEC? BIMSTEC stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and the Economic Cooperation. That you have to remember full form. Okay, it is important for exam point of view also. Okay, so it is a regional organization basically for accelerating the growth and the cooperation between the adjacent country in the Bay of Bengal. See, they are that BIMSTEC have 7 total members: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Thailand. It was founded as a BIMSTEC in June 97. Okay, with the adaptation of the Bangkok Declaration, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Okay, basically it was founded in the 1997. Now it is having 7 members. Okay, now see the summary part what we learned in this session. See, International Economic Organization means simply organization which promote the economic development. IMF was established in 1944. Okay, 45 countries was met in the Bretton Woods in New York to establish the IMF. Okay, so and 29 countries signed the article of agreement of the IMF. India became the member of IMF in 1945. Okay, finance minister of the nation will be the governor on the board of governor of IMF. The value of SDR is basically based on the basket of 5 currency. Currently, the basket consists of the dollar, euro, Chinese yuan, or you can say Chinese renminbi, Japanese yen, and the pound. India is the IMF's 6th largest quota holder. Okay, that means 6th largest contribution by the India. Okay, IMF quota is we are having 13114 million. That is 2.76%. And in case of vote, we get 2.63% vote in the IMF. World Bank is the largest development bank in the world that offers the financial solution and the policy assistance. Now see here, the World Bank group is a collection of 5 organizations, or the 5 wings it have: IBRD, IDA, IFC, MIGA, and ICSID. India is founding member of that first 3, India is member of that first 4, and India is not member of that last. Okay, now WBG, that is the World Bank group, is owned by its member only. Okay, and in that return we get some voting rights. Except the ISID, India is member of the 4 organization. India is been greatly benefited by the World Bank. WTO is a World Trade Organization, was basically conceived during the 8th GATT cycle, that is GAAT. Okay, which recommended that Uruguay, which commenced in the Uruguay and finished in the Geneva. Okay, it's also called as the Uruguay ground. So basically, you simply remember GATT. After that GATT, the WTO emerged. Okay, as of June 2022, WTO is having 164 member. Geneva is the headquarter of the WTO. Okay, India has been a member of WTO since its inception 1995. India was also member of GATT. Okay. Now see some question, how the question can expected in the examination. When did India become the member of IMF? India became the member of IMF in 1945, but it is established in 1944. Okay, which is not one of the basket of 5 currency. So see, dollar is in the 5 currency of SDR. Okay, so dollar in the basket, Japanese yen, Chinese renminbi is also added in 2015, but Canadian dollar is not the part of the SDR. Okay, India is not one of the founder member of which of the following World Bank group. So India is a founding member of IFC, IBRD and IDA, but for MIG, India is not a founding member, and India is not even member of the last organization. Okay, so name here you can see that ICSID. India is not even the member of ICSID. Okay, now see which nation is not a member of the Organization of a Petroleum Exporting Country, OPEC. So Qatar has terminated its membership in 2019. India is not a member of the Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So India is not a member of a Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership called as the RCEP. So is India is a member? No, India is not a member. Okay. So in this way you can expect the question in your examination. Okay. Now the last thing here you should note, you should subscribe our YouTube channel, right? It is available we are as a Banker Zone in the YouTube. You can download the application called as the Banker Zone JAIB, available in the Play Store by the name of Banker Zone JAIB. Link to download is given in the description. You can join our Telegram group for the notes and discussion. The name of the group is Bankers Zone JAIB, or you can directly search in the Telegram @ JAIIBBZ. Happy learning.